Welcome to this week's episode of Courageous Leaders Changing the World. Super excited for this week's guest.
Hi.
It's Ber.
It's me.
It's formerly Bertan,
Ooh.
the artist formerly known as Bertan. Now, how do you say your last name now? Schurmann?
Sherman.
Sherman. There you go. See?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, double N. Sherman.
Double N. There we go. That's how serious she is. So the way that we like to start the podcast is asking, what's been an experience in your life where you had to really step into your leadership and bring forth all of the courage that you can in that situation?
Ooh. I mean, there's been so many. I want to tune into maybe like what I call a life ambush. So I think a life ambush is described as when you're on the X and you're being attacked from like every angle of your life, like spiritual, emotional, business, your relationship, everything. And I suppose to step into courageous leadership would be this year in July. Yeah, this was when I was definitely on the X. And as you all know, I am now Mrs. Sherman. But in July, I was the then to become Mrs. Sherman. And Cody, you would know through our many, many years of journeying together that commitment has always been my deepest fear. Triggers all my flight patterns. And yeah, and in July, having made that commitment to Ben, my now husband, it was like all my stuff started to come up and bubble, and same as him. And of course, we were under financial pressure as well to put on our epic wedding. And then, I don't want to go into like what actually happened, because when I think about it, it's so dumb. It's like you just wouldn't sign a birthday card. But what it snowballed into was like us essentially questioning, are we meant to be together?
Yeah.
And we'd never had that before. It was always like, oh yeah, well, of course we're meant to be together. We're perfect together. And then at that point, it was like I had to courageously own what I really needed in the relationship. And that meant potentially hurting somebody that I loved more than I loved anybody else. And holding the tension of, for a full month of July, we just don't know what's going to happen. And it's so perfect that we're just waiting to see whether we stay together or not. And I think that was like terrifying for both of us. And for me, because I feel like everything, to be with the person that matters most to me in the world and not be able to reassure him and be like, yeah, it's okay, everything's going to be amazing. Like, oh, it was so intense. It was so, it was so like to have that just deep-seated terror and all my triggers like ruminating in here and still be running business. And I had like 36 clients at the time because I was running Filthy Rich Philanthropist and my breathwork teacher training. It's like a business container and a breathwork container. And then I had some one-on-ones as well. And holding like 36 people while also questioning like my entire future, while my dad had also had a huge blow up with my sister, and the family was like considering, like, do we just not have a dad anymore? Like, and like all of that. It was like probably, yeah, the most terrified I've been in years. And to lean into really, really difficult, uncomfortable conversations, into awkward moments, into not immediately seeking the instant gratification of fixing this now. I felt like it was so courageous. I felt like it was forging like the character that I've always wanted to be in life, in business, in relationship, in family. It's like, yeah, the version of me before all that happened was, how can we shortcut this or hack it so that I get what I want and I get my needs met? Yeah, and at that point, it was like, you actually just have to become who it is that you've been trying to your whole life, and you have to live what you teach.
Shit, isn't it?
Yeah. 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 And it was like, it was really, really powerful because, like, I learned what it truly meant on the deepest level to have self-respect. It's like, let's say nothing went according to plan. Let's say Dad and I didn't heal the relationship. Let's say Ben and I broke up. Let's say the business went kaput. But what I would have left would be the strongest foundation of self-respect that I'd ever had in my entire life. It's like I did the right thing. I acted with integrity. I trusted myself. I made the decisions. I led, and I went all in into everything, and I never turned away because I was afraid that I would be disliked or disappoint someone. Coincidentally, shockingly, our relationship with Dad deepened. He also quit the casino, which was the thing that like really triggered the big fight. But that's because he's had a past of gambling addiction. Ben and I obviously recommitted like we had never, ever committed before. And I spoken to my needs, he spoken to his needs. And for the first time, I actually heard him instead of just being like, oh, like I heard him, and then we recommitted. And then my business did a 70K month, despite the fact that I worked like 2 weeks less. So, yeah, it's crazy. It's just wild. And I was like, wow, this works. Energetics works.
That's the thing I teach. It works.
Yeah. Oh, it's crazy.
I saw a reel from Simon Sinek just before, and he's like, if you're in a fight, you don't listen to the words, you listen to the volume. He's like, if it's above a 5 in volume, it's never about the thing that you're talking about. It's never about signing the card. It's never about you didn't brush your teeth or any of those things, any of that things. It's got nothing to do with that. If you just listen to the volume rather than the content of it, then you start to recognize, there's something else underneath all of this. There's a deeper conversation that is yearning to be had. And, that's what's required of us as we step into leadership is, having that courage to be able to have those uncomfortable conversations, knowing that there's going to be disagreement, knowing to be that there's going to be all of these things that play out for both parties of, the vulnerability that's required in that. So, it's a testament to you for being willing to do that, to go through that initiation and to, do that in multiple areas of life at once is always tough. And sometimes traumatizing. And yet that initiation is, what we're ultimately yearning for in many areas. We're yearning for that initiation into that new level of what we're actually saying that we want. It's just that we don't kind of like the process sometimes. It's like, give me all the shiny things.
Yeah, just make it feel good.
Without all the pain.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and I do feel like so much of the work we did together, like early on, is exactly why I can do that now. Like, so for anyone that's kind of like pondering or scared to invest in you, like I do want to really anchor that when you work with Cody, he doesn't give you lessons that wash away like paint after you finish working together. You created circumstances and situations where I had to strengthen my center and feel what I was feeling and still move forward. And that has been like, over and over again, like just giving me exponential rewards in every aspect of my life. So I'm really, really grateful.
Thank you. If someone was experiencing that, they're experiencing that where they recognize that they've got all of these things that are overwhelming them and they want to stop taking action, how would you support them through that?
the first thing is to look at, like, have you done the deep work to be able to know whether you're choosing or not choosing the reaction that you're having? So if you haven't done a whole lot of work, as some people who are watching this podcast might not have done, it's important to actually just go and learn to discern within yourself how to feel. Like at the very earliest stage, feeling is so important. So if you've been in a state where you just don't really know how you are most of the time, or you're like repressing or suppressing, or you need to actually go and express and learn that. So let's say you're someone who wants to take action, but like you said, they're paralyzed by overwhelm. Is that what you said? Yeah, well then you probably actually just need to feel it, like create some space, do some breath work, regulate your nervous system and feel what is going on, and ask yourself, well, what am I feeling? Okay, what's beneath that? What's beneath that? And tune into your inner child and find out what the smallest part of you needs in that moment to feel safe to move forward, right? So that's if you're just starting. If you're someone who has fully learned to discern when you're choosing, and we never fully, obviously, right? But
Some of us do, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there's like 100% in this room.
Yeah, totally.
But there's other people. Spiritual bypass. But if you're someone who has done a lot of work and you can discern how to, like, whether you're choosing an experience to almost avoid the hard thing, or you are actually feeling this, you need to feel it now. Well, there's feel it, like actually feel it now if you need to feel it now. If you're aware this is a pattern for you, that you just create overwhelm and procrastination and sabotage, and like it annoys you and frustrates you, because on every call with a coach you get on, you're like, it's just me that's in my own way. Like, then what you need to do is what Ben actually says he really admires about me. He's like, sometimes I'm just like typing and I'm still crying. like I'm crying and I'm like, but I just keep going because I know what this is. It's like a mechanism that my body is like creating so that I don't have to move past this point that's really scary and vulnerable to succeed. But sometimes I can feel that and still keep going and be releasing it at the same time, because in crying and actually like feeling how I feel, I'm moving through that reaction. I'm moving through the block itself. I think the final thing I'll say is, there are also times, like if you're someone who is like a massive hustler who just can't stop, well, there are times when you actually get to choose to be overwhelmed. And I think it's so important that when you're overwhelmed, like, because I know my pattern of overwhelm is so that someone can hold me, so I feel loved, so I feel seen, and then my expression gets even deeper. And so sometimes I will choose to actually experience that, and then Ben just holds me and tells me, like, you're so good, you're so perfect. And I'm like, like, and then, yeah, but it's like I've chosen it. So I think, yeah, it's about learning to discern and understand, and I do feel like the pathway with that always starts with the breath.
Love that. Thank you. One of the things that I really wanted to ask you in this was how would you teach someone to be able to experience more joy in life?
This is such a great question.
And like also the reason for that is like it's been one of the things that I've seen you step into so much more over the years. It's just like you're someone who I see embodies the initiation of that and expanding that capacity over a period of time. So that's why I want to know, and I want everyone else to know too.
Okay. Yeah, because you're right. Joy is actually my zone of genius. I didn't know for years until someone was like, "Don't you just celebrate everything?" And I was like, "Well," I'm like, "I don't know." And she's like, when you put your earrings on, you look in the mirror. Do you do this? I was like, "Oh yeah." She's like, I like look at, I'm like so yeah. Joy. It's like how I lead is through joy. So how would what would I tell someone who wants to get started on that?
Yep.
Three things. One, you have to learn to let go of the processes not working. I think when people do like breath work or something, or meditation, or start the joy practice or the pleasure practice, they expect it to deliver results, but the result is often the experience of meeting whatever is blocking you from that joy. So when you first start with the breath, I would say the number one is like a stillness practice, where I will literally create like a big block of time, like could be half an hour, like big relative to whoever's listening, could be 5 minutes for you, could be an hour or a day. And I will continuously relax every respiratory muscle that I have. So it's like this, people don't realize this is a respiratory muscle. Like these are, your intercostals are, your like the pharynx, like the larynx, the tongue, all of these respiratory muscles. I'll relax everything and I'll go super still. And then I will continuously inhale and exhale longer than I inhale. And I'll be looking at like somewhere in nature, and everything slowly starts to take on like just brighter colors or fine details. Or you're looking at something and then all of a sudden everything's moving and you're like, how did I not notice this before? And it becomes overwhelming, because as you continue to and like continue to go deeper and deeper, these patterns emerge. And then your brain has to let go of trying to understand or control the meaning of that pattern or what it's going to do next. And it's almost like chaos and entropy just completely takes over, and you drop in and often what happens for me is I just start crying tears of gratitude, because I'm like, holy shit, like this is so beautiful and I'm part of something so grandiose. Like my brain has broken trying to understand it. That's one.
Love it.
The second and third, super simple. The second is, what's the question I ask myself when something really messed up happens? I stole it from somebody else. I stole it from Jocko Wilson? Jocko Wilkins?
Yeah, the seal guy.
Yes, the seal guy. Yeah, he has this like really quick reel. If you guys watch it, it's like a minute. And all he says is when he was in the army, no matter what would happen, he would seize the opportunity that painful event created, that wouldn't have been present if the pain didn't happen. So what that means is anything that happens, I literally do what he does, which is he slams his hands down on the table, and he goes, good. And and so for me, I'm like, good. And then I'm like, well, what is possible now because there is an obstacle in my way? If the obstacle wasn't there, like, well, then I'd have missed out on all the opportunities that are right now. So I'm like, okay, good. And then the last one, so there's breath, which is the body, mindset, which is the question, and then the last one is definitely like when you feel that resistance to how can I make this more fun, you feel that discomfort in your body, because it takes effort sometimes to think, first of all, about having fun, and then secondly, to go and create the circumstances to have fun. It's like the same like strength that you use to push through the discomfort in business, you use that same strength, but you apply it to the part of you that's like, oh, for fuck's sake. I can't be bothered walking to the speaker and putting music on so I can get my work done faster. Like, so hard. Like, just actually move through the resistance and do it. And then the next 2 hours is going to be so much better.
Yeah.
Or same thing. It's like you're like in a, maybe facilitating a call, and there's that part of you that's like, oh, how can I make this more fun? And you feel that like, in your nervous system. It's like, oh, it's so uncomfortable. Like, everyone's going to judge me. What if I look like a retard? And you take the incredible strength that you've cultivated to build your business to this point, because you're so comfortable with pain, and you use that, but you channel it into the the fear of whatever it is, looking like a weirdo, and have that embodied experience of like having way more fun with such minimal effort.
Cool. So how would you summarize the 3 points?
Breath.
Yeah.
A stillness practice that is longer than you feel comfortable with, but won't turn you into a anxious cripple.
New
2.
program coming out soon. How to not become an anxious cripple.
It took me 10 years. It can take you like one day. 2, ask the question. 2, anytime something like terrifying or bad or ambush happens, you just go, good. What opportunities are present now that weren't present before?
Mm-hmm.
And then number 3, take the grit and resilience that you have cultivated in being comfortable in pain and apply it to pleasure. And no matter how much resistance you have, just be willing to paradoxically push through the resistance to do the fun thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. I especially love the last point. It's like, you use what you already like to use to make it happen. An example of that is as you're sharing that, I'm like, I do that all the time. I turn things into a model that definitely shouldn't be a model. I have like a model for authenticity. I have a model for play. It's like all of the things that are like the furthest point away from a model. It's like, I'm going to turn it into a model. This is the seriousness versus play model. Like, because I need to play more. So this is for me.
Yeah. But that is fun for you. That's why it's like, and then because you're having fun, we have fun. Yeah,
that's wild.
It's a great pickup.
So one of the things that you mentioned within that was, your ability to be able to kind of let go of control. How would you teach someone to start to do that more often?
So you surround yourself with people who already are.
Okay.
Yeah, like letting go of control is like so scary, and if you do it alone, then you know how far you've got to fall because you've fallen before, and then all you do is anticipate hurt. But if you do it with community or tribe or people around you who are already letting go of control, then they're painting a picture of how amazing letting go of control actually feels and looks like. And so you know how much it would hurt, but you don't know how good it could feel. And so you surround yourself with people and content who really embody that, and then it becomes real and tangible for you, and that becomes more exciting and inspiring than moving whatever that is.
What is that?
I think that's like...
It's over the side of your body.
Oh. All the times in the past where you let go of control and it really, really hurt. Like, yeah. I think that's... Oh, it's so funny. I'm reading all these military books at the moment.
Yeah.
I fucking love them. It's all like Navy mindset, Navy SEALs. And every time I read them, I actually start crying. And it's never in relation to business. It's always in relation to love.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, because they talk so much about like the failure mindset, right? They're like, there's no failure. You just get back up. And they're like, they never even think about doing things to win. They do it to learn. And I used to always apply that to business, and that was like, great. I'm like, yay, I'm so strong. But in relationships, holy shit. Like if I tried to be vulnerable and have this conversation around this boundary that I needed met, and it exploded and became this like conflict, or we're both triggered and we're saying worse things to each other. I was like, see, I knew I was a failure. I knew I was broken. I'm bad at relationships. I'm never trying again. You know what I mean? And I did that repeatedly. And I did that with Ben as well. And it's like, and now I read these military books and I'm like, oh my God. Learning to love is like actually a skill. Like even forgiveness is a skill. It's like I thought for ages that I was just this resentful person because I can't forgive people, or I would hold grudges. I still have some grudges against my exes. I'm like, what the man, it's been so many years. And but then I realized, oh no, forgiveness is a skill. It's like repetition, it's practice again and again. Every time it gets easier, every time it gets better. But you just have to realize that it's this forever journey. and it's always going to get better, and you can always see how far, like you can always see how much it would hurt to return to where you were, but you can't actually see how good it could be if you let go of control. So you have to surround yourself with people who've done it.
Yeah, cool. I love that. What would you say to people that are kind of stuck in kind of patterns that they're recognizing? They're stuck in a pattern of just repeating the same thing, or stuck in a loop.
This brings it back to the question you asked me about fun and joy.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to interrupt it.
Yeah.
If you're stuck in a pattern where you've been trying to tackle the same problem and you fix it a little bit and then you come back around and you take 5 steps forward and you take 6 steps back, it's because you're literally memorizing the strategy that you used, and you're memorizing the problem that you have and the strategy that you use to get out of that problem. You taught me this, but the thinking that you're using to get out of the problem is then recreating the problem again. And so in order to break the pattern, you have to do a pattern break. So what that would, it would look like is finding like a place in the loop where you can act, instead of shaming yourself, when you get to that part of the loop, instead of shaming yourself, you have to celebrate the fuck out of yourself. That's what it is. You have to just be so like put in something that is so not the normal thing that you would do. and insert joy and insert fun. I've got to think of an example for myself. Like if you're stuck in a loop, how do you get out of it? Right, I've got a good one. Okay, so this was another, again, my relationship. So
You can see your growth area at the moment.
so with Ben, he's amazing at helping me break this pattern because I can think really deeply, like you. We think like 10 layers deep behind everything. Someone asked us a basic question about like, how do I put my ads up? And we're like, so, like, what's the fear?
What's your fear with being seen, becoming famous? What is it? What's underlying all of that?
At what point did you realize that you were, yeah.
I actually did this because I've seen, there's this guy, what's his name? Like Jesse Elder or something. He's got like this course that's all about creating like a cult-like following or whatever. And one of the things that he does is he responds to all of the comments on ads. And I've had like a lot of resistance to it for a long time. And I'm like, fuck it. All right, I'm going to start responding to all my comments on ads because they're pretty much the same thing. It's like the most recent one was, I can't trust anyone who wears a hat inside. now this happens. This happens all the time. If you run ads, number one. But if you are expressed, then it's going to happen even more. So I responded, I'm like, so did your parents give you that belief? Or did you experience that betrayal from someone who was wearing a hat inside firsthand? I didn't get a response to that one.
Oh, damn. Yeah, no, he probably like...
Another one said... Another one was like, I'm not convinced. And I'm like, oh, well, you're very convinced that you're not convinced, though. So... And he says, what? And I'm like, well, thanks for your engagement on my ads. Yeah. They're going to get better now. Thank you.
Oh, that's good. It's good. I don't respond to my comments about like being a snake oil salesman. I'm like, I'm not a man. I'm like, oh. I also get comments just about my appearance all the time. It's like, one of them was so funny. He said, and I actually laughed out loud when I got it. It was like, Charlie the horse wants his teeth back or something. I was like, oh, well, that was good. But then one guy was like, he's like, why would I learn breathing off you if I could learn it for free? And I was like, I have to reply to this. And I was like, dude, you totally can use it, like learn it for free. Do you want me to send you the YouTube link? And he's like, no. Anyway, So going back to what we're talking about, the top level and the deep work. With breaking the loop, sometimes it is actually just so simple. And one of the things that Ben has helped me with is when we're in a conflict, he will play. So I might be like really one of my go-to stress responses is freeze. So I might be frozen and I don't know what to say because I'm feeling so guilty that I've hurt his feelings. And then one time he like wrapped himself in fairy lights. He just found some fairy lights on the desk and then he wrapped himself in them and he just started going like, and I couldn't stop laughing. And then all of a sudden, pattern's broken. The pattern of Ber gets upset because she upset the one she loves. Now she goes into a freeze response because she can't escape the shame. Then he gets upset because he's ashamed because she's ashamed. And then they have to heal the shame that was created because they both feel bad that they hurt the other person. Like, it's just so dumb. Yeah, and another time we were fighting as well, and I was on a log, actually, and I was, like, crying, and I'm like, I was, like, holding this log, and then... And he just like came out of the side, out of my peripheral view. So like pretend to be me, like just go like, your eyes at me, and he has this. He's like, he came up and he's just like, and then I looked and I couldn't stop laughing, like because I was just like, what the fuck? Like I'm in so much pain, and this is so funny, and now I will do it with myself, even when I'm like, when I'm in a pattern again where I'm shaming myself for something that's so bad, and I did this horrible thing, and it's just like, dude, like you just need to like realize like how ridiculously funny this is, like with my dad, we had another fight recently, and I'm just like so anxious, and I could feel all this turmoil inside of me, and then I was like, okay, let's just like acknowledge the fact though that like everyone in the family is like so well off, like like there is no actual danger, no one is actually like temporarily someone is sad, but like it's just ridiculous, you know, and then that just made me laugh as well. So being able to interrupt the pattern through humour and through fun and play.
Yeah, I love that. I was I was on a call with my coach last week sometime, and I don't often get on the calls because it's like 4 a.m. because he's in America, so it's like 4 a.m. our time.
Yeah.
So I'm on the call and he's going through all of these things, and I wake up, and this is, I just wake up at like random times on certain days, and if he's got a call on, it's like, oh, I'm going to go to it, and I jump on the call, and I'm like, all right, I'll go to the gym, jump on the call, do the thing, and get on. It's obviously the perfect time for me to like join the call. It's already been going for like an hour, and so it's like now 5 a.m. our time. So I jump in, and he's just like, it was just like the greatest reminder. He's like, it's all just made up. It's all just made up. Like, all this fucking money game, it's all just made up. Success in business is all just made up. You don't actually have problems, You think it's a problem at that time because you're emotionally connected to it, but it's just all bullshit unless, like, you literally have a life and death surgery, or, someone is actually going to die. Yeah. It's all just made up. So you probably want to start making up something that you like and actually have fun rather than just like creating all this suffering, because if you want to play that path and be the martyr, go for it. And I'm just like, fuck, this guy's watching me even from America. And it's like something that I've like told people so many times. But then, when other people say things back that you tell people, you're just like, oh, that's good. It's really good. This is juicy stuff. It's like, oh, I should tell people. Oh, fuck, I already tell people. I just got to live it more.
Oh, but now I actually feel it.
Now it's embodied. Now I can create a program that's called Embodied Feeling.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah, 100%, yeah.
That's one of the things as well when I was...
champagne problems. So you taught me that.
Yeah. I was when I was in doing Extreme with Preston and Alexi, and it was like one of the things where, Preston says something and you hear that like this sentence like a million times throughout your life, and you're just like, yeah, whatever. See on every second Instagram quote, it's just like, oh, this one statement, and then he goes, if you died in 6 months, what would be your biggest regret? And I'm like, Because she knows where it's going. And that's like in the morning on the last day, and I'm just like, oh, fuck. So I'm like marinating in my shit the entire time. Jackie's like fighting with me in the room. She's just like, you betrayed me, you give your best to everyone else. All of these things, having this massive fight and stuff. And it gets to the final sharing circle. And, there's 80 people in a circle, so you've got to go around. And I'm about 60 people in. And if you haven't seen the video, you've got to go watch the video. I'll make sure it's in that link in the comments to this. But, it gets around to me, and then I get handed the mic, and I go, and I stomp my chair, because I know what I'm about to do, no one else does. And I'm just like, I break the tension with a joke, because that's what you do as a facilitator. You got to break the tension with a joke first.
Yes, got to mask it first.
Got to
comedy.
mask it first.
Yep.
You got to do it. You got to
make it safe.
Be the jester for everyone.
Yes. Now everyone likes me. Now I can share.
Ease the tension. Yep. And then I do my thing. And if you haven't seen the video, you got to go watch it. It's pretty wild. But I walk across the room and then do the piece where I'm like, I've been lying in our relationship, and everyone thinks that I'm breaking up with her at that moment. So I found out afterwards.
So you didn't know.
Because they didn't have the context of what was playing out of what I was doing. Because what I've been lying about was we said we're never going to get married. But they didn't have that context. So everyone was like, came up to me afterwards. They're like, I was going to come over there and kill you because you're doing it in front of all of these people that is so disrespectful. And I'm just like, okay, cool. I'm just doing my thing. Anyway, eventually I get down on one knee and propose, and eventually she says yes. Eventually. Have you seen the video?
I haven't.
You got to watch it.
I know.
She's like, I haven't answered yet. Halfway through, after I'm trying to hug her and kiss her and stuff. She's like, I haven't answered yet. And I'm like, this is what I have to fucking deal with. Why am I doing this?
Oh my God, dude. You guys are so perfect together. Yes. Yeah.
So...
But then she said yes. Yeah.
Yes, eventually she said yes. I don't have a ring or anything. It's just like,
Nah.
Someone says that, one thing off the cuff and it just hits you different. So it was a bit of fun. What's been one of those quotes that's hit you longest after hearing it? That's like landed years later.
Years later. Oh, can I teach while I'm speaking?
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, because I feel like right now there's a part of me that is like, oh, I want to give your audience the maximum value that I can. and what happens for someone like me is that my brain does this. It goes and it like scatters into like a million things and a million different choices. And so right now I'm regulating my nervous system by like slowing down my breath and exhaling so I can just come back into my parasympathetic nervous system and actually make a coherent response as opposed to trying to overwhelm everyone with maximum information.
While you think about that, that's all I do on the podcast because it's like, especially on the last one, because, if someone says something and then as the interviewer, your mind goes off on this random tangent. It's like, oh my God, we can go in this direction. It's going to be amazing. It doesn't help if you're like ADD as well. You're just like, shiny thing. You're like, oh my God, let's go to that shiny thing over there. It's so amazing. Let's go over here. Let's talk about this. Oh, let's go back over here. And then you like go way back in a different direction. So, especially it's like worst when I'm interviewing people because I'm like facilitating a conversation while facilitating myself about what's actually going on, about like, oh, here's this thing, I did this quote here and I learned this and this and this, oh, I have the perfect story for that. Oh, this is how I teach that. And all of these things that just pop up in my mind and I'm just like, breathe. Come back to your body, Cody. Regulate your nervous system. Do the thing that you teach.
I've got this mental image of like, that scene in The Matrix where there's like 100 Neos and they all go like, and they all look at once. Like all of the different Codys are like, and you're like, Cody, come back. That's exactly what it's like. Yeah. and in sales calls too, don't you reckon? Yeah,
Yep.
100%. I'm like, oh, we could go here and I could teach you this, I could coach you this and this model and that. And then I'm like, and so, but it's great that you just told me that story because you gave it to me. So that's what you said once. You said, all facilitation is facilitation of self.
Yeah.
That, 100%. Yes. Yeah. And the more I go on this journey, especially in business, the more obvious it becomes. It's like in the beginning, still thought if I just had X system or strategy or help or whatever, then all my problems would be solved. And now I know that the piece is like facilitating myself to be to know what is best and to be able to move forward, especially in relationship to somebody else. Like that's the thing in business, like it's all relationships. I love how people think they can go into business and not like learn to love people.
What do you mean?
Huh?
I have to love people in business? Is that...
Cody, I do not buy it. I've never bought it. Big lover. But yeah, so all facilitation is facilitation itself. And time again, yeah, I relearn this lesson. And every time I do facilitate myself in a sticky situation, then both tangible and intangible things change in my life for the better every time. Yeah, it's even like with like, you know, the recent hires that we've had and the, what else? Yeah, managing team and more clients. It's all just learning to facilitate myself to, and all the little Neos to not all act at once, get overwhelmed and then burn out. It's like, nah, we're just all going to come together. Like I literally am typing sometimes and I'm like this, I'm like, shh, no, it's okay. Just I'm like, shh, we'll do that later. and then I'll go and look at it's like, well, what is it that I actually want? I have to know what I want. If I don't know, then how can I facilitate myself to anything? Yeah.
Yeah, I've been journeying that one a little bit more recently. I've been recognizing, you know, if you're a facilitator, you kind of want people to get a result.
Yeah.
And so much so that, like, in our in-person holographics event, I'm like, all right, we're going to stay here until you're done.
I remember, yeah.
So
God, I loved it.
yeah. Well, we've gone next level with that, with our new stuff as well.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, if you're here till 1 o'clock in the morning, we're going to stay till 1 o'clock. If we're here till 2 o'clock, we're going to be here till 2 o'clock. We're here till 3 o'clock, we're here till 3 o'clock.
Mm.
And, you know, sometimes that means we leave at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And gets to that point where I'm like, well, I have the thought of like, what am I doing here? Why did I promise these things? And you know, I promised you're going to get it. And the shift with that recently has just been like, well, I'm going to get my growth regardless of whether they get it or not. It's like, I'm going to facilitate myself into a new level with this, regardless of, you know, what time we finish. And I'm going to, you know, I think this has played out most in our certification. It's like when I'm facilitating facilitators to facilitate, it's an entirely different game. It's like, well, I'm gonna get my growth regardless of whether they do it right or not.
I love that.
Right, right, because there's a right way and there's the way that they're doing it.
But there is no right or wrong. Oh.
Yes, so that's been a deeper level of embodiment for me with that. What's been your edge with that of late?
I feel like it's the same one. I love that you brought that up because the martyr, like obviously you attracted me into your field because you have the martyr.
Awesome,
yes, because he's amazing, like me.
Amazing and
insert, yeah. Have you got any like packets of seeds around? But like, yeah, like I feel like that is why I was drawn to you because, yeah, you do what you said. You just said you are so powerfully. I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna like balance it. You're so powerfully
Spiritualize it.
you're so powerfully attached to getting people results that he really does go to the absolute fucking extreme of anything that he suspects you might need, like suspects.
Oh, I know.
Yes, and and it's so inspirational, and it gives you permission as a facilitator to then do the same for your clients. And I think for me, it's the same edge. It's like I've had to fully own, and I openly kind of say this now. I'm like, I actually love being a martyr. I love it because there's, I don't know, it's like, it, in a strange, paradoxical way, it gives me energy because I go and obliterate myself for my clients. But then I have this deep sense of self-respect and like abiding like integrity where I'm just like, you are the most epic, legendary facilitator I know, you know, like, and I can have that realization. And the edge with it is to, I think that the edge with it right now for me is actually in sales, because there are times when like I'm on a sales call with someone and I just know like I can help you, you know, I'm like, oh dude, just let me help you. And and I can feel it. I feel this energy in me, and it's like a frustration energy. And the edge for me there is like just being okay that this person is gonna use me in this call as a stepping stone to get where it is that they need to go, whether that is to work with me later, whether that is to work with me now, whether that is to work with somebody else. And it's like, yeah, so it's letting go of the attachment to, I would say, yeah, oh, this is cool, this is new. Letting go of the attachment of me being the one that has helped them get there. Yeah, because I feel like that is where I've derived a lot of like my significance from, where I've attached like my results to, it's like, oh yeah, your results and my results are because I sacrifice X so that you can do this. And it's like, nah, that's not it though. It's actually not. It's you as a whole person. It's not just that you're a martyr. So the edge is, I suppose not martyring myself on sales calls, and being so okay that if someone is not ready for me, I don't need to upgrade their consciousness 3 times in the call so that they are. It's like, just let them go.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, that's definitely been a growth point for me over the years as well, at different inflection points of, you know, recognizing that, you know, you can't make the wrong person into the right person. You just got to go and find the right person for where you take them on the journey, for where they're at and what you offer. Yeah, what's the other edge that you're kind of facing off with in business at the moment then? We've heard a lot about all of the intimate areas that you're experiencing growth in. What's the business one?
There's quite a few. Just want to think about the most important one that I want to share. It's just so corny.
I'm a dad. So now I get corny because it's like all of these, you know, cliche, corny things that everyone says about being a parent. It's just like, you don't know true love until you have a kid. I'm like, no, fucking yawn, mate, piss off. And then you look at your son and you're just like, oh my God, sleep.
He's a slave.
Sleeping. He's so beautiful. And then he's like climbing up the walls, and I'm like, look at him go. Jackie's just like, don't do that. And I'm like, get it, mate, get higher. But yes, cliche, like, you don't know true love until you have kids.
Yeah.
So, what's your corny thing for business?
My corny thing is, I have to have the courage. have to have the courage to be disliked. It's still that. It's always been that. And it changes at every level. And it's, we've upgraded massively this year. And to get to the next level next year, I see it. I'm like, oh, there's still a part of you that wants to keep this part of me, the martyr, the part of me that can really grind, the part of me that takes action even when I'm like crying or scared. That it's like I'm still protecting that part from being fully seen. I think because I'm afraid that in the spiritual community, people will look at me and be like, oh, she's just suppressing how she's feeling. Oh, she's just another hustler. She's just in it for the money or whatever it is. And it's like, it's like there's a part of me that still kind of protects my clients from that. Like they might be really, really distraught. And there's a part of me that wants to protect them from that part of me that's like, just go do it. And the reality is that is how I speak to myself sometimes when I'm like, have you seen that reel where it's like, whenever you're ready, and they're like, she's like crying against the wall, and the POV is like, when you're a business owner, and she's like, and then her phone goes bing, and she goes, yeah, I'm free right now. Right? It's such a good reel. And I'm like, oh no, that's actually me. And I think I do protect my clients from that part of me because she can be really brutal. But I also recognize that everyone's being magnetized towards me because that's who I am. And that's what they want. And so it's like me just letting go of more masks, letting go of, and I've got like a container, a breathwork teacher training in January and a filthy rich philanthropist container, which is a business container in January. And I know, I'm like, yep, you got to bring it. You got to bring all of it because you're doing everyone a disservice by protecting them from you. Like they want you. So just be all of you. Let it go.
How would you, if you had a client that was kind of playing out a similar part, what would you say to them?
It's a good question, eh? It's corny. See, this is
the corny episode, guys, just in case you haven't noticed.
Well, because this is another part of me that I protect my people from. Sometimes I think that I'm too nice.
Yeah.
And I'm too cuddly, and I'm like I care too much about your feelings. But actually when I tune into that, that part of me would be like, you can do it. That's what it would be like. I'd be like, you can do it. They're still going to love you. Like, off you go. It's like super gentle and so loving and just like also like with a big stick though. And like you're like at the cliff and it's just like, yep, see, it's going to be really fun. Okay, bye. Yeah. So I guess that's it. If anyone was experiencing that compartmentalization of self, I would say to you, what you'll find is that when you do take the leap and you unveil that part of you, everybody will love it because you love yourself so much more. Anything that is not love, you won't even see because the depth of your love will have deepened, and then you'll just be looking for where it's loved as a reflection of the inner world.
Love it.
It's kind of like Lino. Remember that time when he's like, trolls? Like, we were talking about, like, trolls and bad comments on social media, and he's like, oh, no, like, no, I never get negative. What do you mean? What are trolls? And we had to, like, explain to him what it's like to get negative comments on social media. And then I was like, well, I think it's just that Lino is such a pure beacon of, like, self-love, and, like, he's just been through such hell that he just has, like, deepened into such a level of love that he looks around himself and all he sees is love. So he probably sees comments where they're like, oh, you're just like a big, hairy oaf. And he's like, oh, thanks, man, I am big, yeah. doesn't even see it. Yeah.
What would you say if if someone was out there that was like your absolute dream client? What would you say to them?
You have to trust you have to trust your heart and who you choose to help you. And it's not going to be about the logistics of what they do. It's not going to be about the features and benefits. It's not going to be about the skill set that you think that you need. It's going to be how safe you feel around them and how they've lived their life, what they think, what they believe. Not even the results of where they're at. Results are a good barometer, but really it's you have to trust if you get that feeling that is the thing that you need from that person, because then it will have results for the rest of your life. And I think that's what happened when we worked together and I chose you. For the rest of my life, I continue to reap rewards from what you've told me and from the exercises we did. And it's because I chose him without knowing how he did it, what he did. But I just knew that he was going to help me get there. Yeah.
Epic, thank you. Who are the people that you're serving at the moment?
I've got mostly coaches, facilitators and healers that are wanting to upgrade their financial template, so wanting to increase sustainability in the business through the vehicle of breath in a way that feels really aligned. I'm also working with those of you who want to use who you are as the magnetic pull or the beacon to create the tribe. I think that's it. Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is if you're going to work with me, you have to really want to help people, or we're not going to work together, really. And you, yeah, because what I do is I help you scale in terms of your impact and your income, and take over the world with love.
Take over the world!
Take over the world!
With love.
As a martyr.
I think that's one of the perfect things to start to wrap up on. What would you say as a closing piece of someone stepping into their leadership to an entirely new level? What would be the one sentence that you'd give to them?
You have only ever failed when you die. Everyone that keeps going inevitably succeeds, so never give up.
Corny. Love it.
Yes. Was it profound enough for you, or do we need to go for another 2 hours?
So before the podcast, it only goes long because it took her to be profound, basically. I don't know why it goes for about an hour. All right, what's the best way for people to be able to get in contact with you?
Instagram or Facebook Messenger. So I'm Ber Schurmann on Facebook, and I'm Ber Breathwork on Instagram. And if you're shy, what you can do is listen to me on Spotify as well. I've got a bunch of free breathworks that are 5 minutes, 15 minutes long, so you can actually just kind of try out my energetics and see if you like the style and vibe that I have before you even touch base with me in the DMs. I do recommend that because I'm a force to be reckoned with.
You can't say it with a straight face.
I can't. No, I can't.
You got to look down the camera and go, I am a force to be reckoned with.
And then the dramatic pause. But no, I do find that, like, yes, I am very, very loving, and some people are a bit shy around approaching me because of that. So, yeah, so Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, yeah, and I'm on YouTube as well.
Okay, thank you so much. This was a blast.
It was. Thank you. Oh, just a little side funny note. Is your microphone dented?
Yes.
Mine is too.
Twinsies! I broke the microphone. All the time it falls off. I've got like a standing desk over there, and it just falls off, and it's just got this massive dent in it.
And mine too. And the last one that I had the same massive dent in it. I think it's because like our energy is very like, boom, like we're.
It's just like, this is how it is. Boom! Everything gets all knocked off the table. Like the amount of times I knock my water bottle off, I'm just like, this is what's happening. Boom! Ooh, sorry, just give me a sec. Get my water bottle, clean up
like,
this huge puddle.
Yeah, I keep knocking my microphone off and my candle, and then the candle wax just goes everywhere, and I'm like, have I not learned? But yeah. Anyway.
So this is us.
Yes.
Chaotic.
Yes, but contained.
Contained.
Contained in simple systems and structure with a proven and predictable process that you can follow.
That's why I laugh about my bookcase, because it's like all ordered.
Yeah.
Can't see it. It's over there. If you've been on a Zoom with me, you'll have seen it. But, predictably, unless we're having a podcast, then Max has pulled off like half of the shelves of books down the bottom as well, so they're just everywhere. That's like why there's a stack here, because they have the cases on them that haven't been put back yet. So it comes in here and there's just stuff everywhere. There's still kind of stuff everywhere.
It's pretty good. I think this is good.
It's been tidied up.
Yeah.
All right, that's it for today's episode. That's all of our ramblings in our life. So it was a blast. Till next time.
Thanks, everyone. Mwah.